Hey, what's going on, guys? Jacob here. Sorry, I know this post is going to be a little later than normal, but I wanted to make sure I got this content out to you. Today, what we'll do is we'll just dissect a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. It's one of my favorite quotes. We'll go line by line. We'll pick out some points that are applicable to our journey of manhood, and then hopefully apply them. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing going. The quote goes like this: "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." Theodore Roosevelt. Tons of content in there, tons of applicable points in that quote. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and start ripping this thing apart and seeing how we can apply it to our lives. We'll start at the top. "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better." My big takeaway for this, guys, is don't gossip. There's really no place amongst men, but especially amongst this coalition, for any kind of gossip. I do believe that as a man, you should, if you've got an issue, take it to the source. Don't spread it around the playground. Take it to the source. There's those two things, guys. If you're if you're the type that runs around and gossips, I just want you to think about the perspective of the people that you're gossiping to. You're labeled as somebody who is untrustworthy. You're labeled as someone who's probably not as strong in character as he should be. So the thing that taking it to the source does is it kind of enforces your character. Um, Also, what it does is when you take it to the source instead of gossiping, it allows an opportunity for constructive criticism and honestly, resolution, constructive resolution. You may not always see eye to eye, but at least in that moment, you can understand why that person did something, and then they can understand why you are either frustrated or been slighted by it in some form or fashion. So, at the end of it all, guys, don't gossip. Next, the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. Um, what I take away from that, guys, is get in the game. Stop standing on the sidelines. Don't be the man outside of the arena looking at how the other man's either playing or not playing, doing well or not doing well. Be the guy that's actually in there. Either way, um, you being in that environment is going to help grow you to be the guy that you want to be the father that you want to be. Um, Secondly, when it says whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, that tells me as men, guys, that we cannot be afraid of sweating, bleeding, or getting dirty. What that equates to me is being able to sacrifice. Um, as guys, I mean, we're called to be leaders amongst our families and amongst the community. And if you aren't willing to sacrifice right now in this season, how do you ever expect to sacrifice later down the road, when life decides you to deal you cards that have you in a position to either get sweaty, bloody, or dirty? Guys, become students of those three things. Those are three key aspects of being a man, is committing yourself to being able to sweat, being able to bleed, and being able to be dirty and be comfortable at those things. Next, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds. A few things with this as well, guys. Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, in this season of life, this is super applicable to me. I wanted to start this group up a year and a half ago. The reason it's taken so long is because I was afraid of failure. I take I take a lot of pride in everything I do. I want to be successful in everything that I do. And taking a failure sometimes is a big shot to my ego. And that's where I need to really step back and humble myself and realize that if I'm shooting for failure, then I'm doing everything that I need to do. I'm exhausting everything, which is actually in itself a win. If you don't fail, you aren't trying hard enough, guys. So some of the hardest workouts, physically speaking, are the ones that take you to failure. I think I would rather sit under a bench and try to do bench press, I don't know, 315 a few times, than do push-ups to failure because it's extremely uncomfortable. Um, but when you break it down and you end up failing, you know how to succeed next time. And if anything, at worst, you know how to overcome that failure. So strive for failure, guys. If you don't, if you're not hitting failure, you're leaving some in reserve. You're really not giving it everything you got anyway. You're operating on 75% instead of the full 100. Also, there's this great saying that amateurs train until they get it right, professionals train until they get it wrong. Meaning, if I take shooting for instance, if I sit back and I try to shoot a bullseye from 5 yards, nice, calm, and collective. If I was an amateur, as soon as I hit that bullseye, I'm good to go. But as a professional, I'm not just sitting and taking my time shooting that bullseye. Every sec, every rep, I'm trying to push faster. I'm trying to push harder until the point I fail. Because then when I fail, I can do a little slight debrief, figure out why I failed, and then work on that weak point, which ultimately makes me stronger. So guys, don't be afraid of failure. Um, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. Um, a thing to take away from this, guys, is be enthusiastic about your dreams and goals. Go after them relentlessly. Um, and then it's also good to just be enthusiastic about life, period. Guys, you wake up, every morning that you wake up and you're allowed to breathe, it's a blessing. You have no reason not to be enthusiastic. There are many people whose life is cut short way before, way younger than you, way younger than me. So every morning that I get to wake up, I try not to take advantage of, or I try not to just let that moment slip by. Be enthusiastic about life. If you're not enthusiastic about life, it's because of you, and there's something that you've got to do. It's a perspective that you have to change. Um, People are more attracted to enthusiastic people too. I know a lot of my guys are single. If you kind of walk around with your hands to the side, your shoulders slumped forward, and you're really monotone, you're not really competitive, you're not really compassionate, you're not really emotional, guys, nobody wants to be with someone like that. So be enthusiastic, get after it. If you have goals and a dream, devote yourself to it. In that section, in that part of the quote, it says, "The great devotions who spends himself for a worthy cause." Um, be willing to sacrifice, guys, for your goals and dreams. Uh, Putting together content for this group takes up a lot of my time. I don't have time to watch TV. I don't have cable in my house anymore because I just don't. I'm not there to watch it. I'm either training myself physically, trying to get right mentally, or I'm spending time with the church. So those three concepts, I'm driving, so I'm sacrificing something. Guys, don't be afraid to sacrifice something for your goals and your dreams. Um, and then lastly, that little part of daring greatly um, comes before triumph of high achievement. Like it's in order. You've got to dare greatly in order to reach high achievement. If you're just daring moderately, you're gonna reach achievement, but it's not gonna be high achievement. And then when you get there, it's probably not gonna be worth it because you didn't really have to sacrifice. You didn't have to put a whole lot of effort into it, guys. Dare greatly. Go outside of your comfort zone. Get outside of your little bubble and go after the dreams and goals that God has put on your heart. Um, Next, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. A few things about this. Don't be a timid soul, guys. You are called to be courageous. Um, you as men, you're called to be a leader. So there's no time to sit back and join the flock. You're not a sheep, guys. What you're trying to be is a sheepdog. You're trying to step out of the pack. You're not. You're trying to step out. So don't be a cold and timid soul, guys. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. Think about this in your faith, guys. Stand up for your faith. Stand up for what's right. I can't stand when I see videos of people who are actually just kind of videotaping somebody being jumped, like an old grandma being pushed, like that. That type of stuff drives me absolutely insane. I often wonder, would I be in jail had I been in that situation? From for one, going after the guy who's the aggressor, and then two, going after the guy freaking just video camera. Guys, stand for something. There are enough people in the world who are just gonna be sheep. Stand out, guys. Um, Secondly, no victory and no defeat. Now, not N-O, K-N-O-W, no victory and no defeat. The contrast is extremely important, guys. I guarantee you, if you get knocked down 100 times and you get up that 101st time and you actually achieve your goal in that 101 times, it is so much greater than getting knocked down once and then getting back up and getting an achievement on two, because you dedicated yourself to something. You've given it absolutely everything you've got. Um, so knowing defeat is crucial to knowing victory. Um, Knowing defeat makes that victory so much more sweeter. Um, so guys, that's all I got. I know it's getting dark. I know the video quality is probably not going to be that great, but take these points that we just spoke over for like the last 11 minutes. Take these points, try to apply them to your life. I know I am. Until then, until Friday, which I'll have I have a little announcements on Friday, but until Friday, guys, get after it. Take the path of resistance, not the path of least resistance. Make the decision, make the choice to be a better man today so that you can be a better father tomorrow. All right, guys. Have a good night.